The line moved slowly toward the security checkpoint. Not chaotic, not loud, just the quiet rhythm of airport life. Rolling suitcases, boarding passes being checked, someone ahead adjusting their jacket like they've done this 100 times before. A woman a few steps ahead kept taking her passport out, then putting it back, then checking it again. Nothing about that moment looked unusual, but you could feel something under the surface. People are thinking more now. My name is Sarah, and on Sarah Miller Updates, I spend my time helping people understand what is actually happening inside systems like this before it reaches them. I have seen how airport procedures shift quietly, without announcements, without headlines, and suddenly people are left trying to figure things out in real time. If you are traveling, planning to travel, or even thinking about it in the next few weeks, I want you to stay with me. Because what I am about to explain is not about panic. It is about understanding the system before the system looks at you. And here is the part most people stop reading before they get to, do not make that mistake. When people hear ICE at airports, their mind jumps straight to confrontation. They imagine officers walking up to random people, stopping them, questioning them in the middle of the terminal. That is not how this usually happens. The system is quieter than that. And because it is quiet, it catches people off guard. Let me explain how this actually works behind the scenes. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is the agency responsible for enforcing immigration laws inside the United States. But at airports, ICE is not working alone. You have CBP, which is Customs and Border Protection, the agency that handles entry and exit at international borders. You have TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, the agency that checks your bags and screens you for safety. And then behind all of them, you have interconnected databases: your name, your passport, your travel history, your immigration status. All of it is connected. And here is what most people do not realize. The check often happens before you even arrive at the airport. Stay with me, because this next part applies to people who thought they were completely safe. When you book a flight, your information is shared. When you check in, your information is confirmed. When your boarding pass is issued, your information is verified again. These systems talk to each other. So by the time you are standing in line, much of the review has already happened. Quietly, without you knowing. And that is why some people get pulled aside while others do not. It is not random. It is data. Now let me address what I keep hearing, because misinformation is where most problems begin. The first thing I keep hearing is this: ICE is going to be checking everyone at the airport now. That is not how it works. There is no system where every single person is stopped and questioned by ICE at domestic airports. The next one I need to address sounds like this: if I'm flying within the US, immigration doesn't apply to me. That is only partially true. Domestic flights do not involve immigration inspection like international travel, but identity checks still happen, and if something in your record is flagged, that can still come up. Another one people say is, if I have my documents with me, I'm fine. Documents matter, but what matters more is that your documents match what is already in the system. And here is another one: they can't do anything unless I did something wrong. The system does not always start with wrongdoing. It starts with inconsistency. And that is what catches people off guard. Now stay with me, because what I am about to explain next is the thing immigration attorneys charge hundreds of dollars to explain in a consultation. The system is not looking for drama. It is looking for patterns, overstays, previous entries, pending applications, name mismatches, expired records that were never updated, even small things, because to the system, small things are signals. Let me tell you about someone I will call Daniel. Daniel had been living in the US for several years. He had a valid visa, a stable job, and no issues that he was aware of. He booked a domestic flight to visit family. At the airport, everything felt normal, until his ID was scanned. He was asked to step aside, no accusations, no raised voices, just a quiet request for additional questions. Now I want to be clear. I share stories like this to help you understand what this looks like in real life, not to identify any one person. Daniel later learned that an old entry record had not been properly updated. Something small, something he did not even remember, but the system remembered. And that is the part people do not see. You are not just traveling with what you know. You are traveling with what the system knows. And sometimes, those are not the same thing. And I want to pause here for a moment, because this part matters more than anything else. Travel is supposed to feel simple. You plan, you pack, you go. But when uncertainty enters that process, it changes everything. You start thinking about things you never thought about before. You replay scenarios in your mind. You wonder what might happen. That quiet weight, that uncertainty, is something many people are carrying right now. And I understand that. But here is what matters. You are not powerless in this. Awareness gives you control. Now let me explain the hidden traps. Assuming your immigration status update has been processed everywhere, traveling with documents that are valid but not reflected in system records, not checking your case status before traveling, giving quick answers under pressure because you feel rushed. These are not careless mistakes. These are normal human moments. But the system does not see intention. It sees data. Let me tell you about someone I will call Sophia. Sophia had recently filed paperwork to adjust her status. She was waiting. Everything felt in progress. She booked a domestic flight thinking it would not matter. At the airport, her information required review. She was not denied travel, but the experience stayed with her, the uncertainty, the waiting. Now I want to be clear. I share stories like this so you can recognize the situation, not to identify any one person. Now let me speak directly to you. If you are a green card holder, meaning you have permanent residence in the United States, this matters because your status is strong, but your records still need to be consistent. If you are on a visa, this matters because your travel history and your legal status are closely linked. If you have a pending application, this matters because not all systems update at the same time. If you are undocumented, this matters because even routine travel can carry risks depending on the situation. And here's the part I want you to stay for, because this is where you protect yourself. First, check your current status before you travel. Do not assume, confirm. Second, carry supporting documents, not just basic ID. If something needs to be explained, you want to be ready. Third, avoid last-minute travel if your situation is unclear. Clarity matters more than urgency. Fourth, stay calm if you are asked questions. Your tone and your clarity matter. Fifth, do not sign or agree to anything you do not fully understand. Take your time. Now, I need to say something very directly. There are scammers right now targeting people with messages like, "We can clear your record from airport systems," or "We can guarantee safe travel." That is not real. No one outside the system can do that. Do not trust those promises. They are taking advantage of uncertainty. And here is something many people do not know. If you are a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, meaning you have the legal right to live in the United States, and you are dealing with a situation involving a family member, you can contact your Congressional Representative's Constituent Services Office. That simply means your local elected official's office can help communicate with federal agencies when something feels stuck. Sometimes that step helps move things forward. And remember this, you still have rights. You have the right to remain calm, the right to understand what is being asked, the right to not sign anything you do not understand, the right to ask for legal help if needed. These are real protections. Use them carefully. Use them clearly. And here is the perspective I want to leave you with. This moment feels uncertain because the system is not always visible. But it is not new. It has always worked this way, quietly, in the background. What has changed is awareness. People are paying attention now, and that is a good thing, because people who understand the system move through it differently. They prepare, they stay steady, they do not rely on assumptions. This moment is not permanent. The law itself has not suddenly changed overnight. What changes is how closely things are being looked at. So take a breath, check your situation, move forward with clarity instead of fear. And if you have a question about your specific situation, you can share it below. I read those carefully, and I will do my best to help you understand what applies to you so you are not walking into this alone.